Hi, this is Gail Tyfair from Cornwall, Ontario, to do a video all about paper, as promised. This is my first tutorial, so I hope you'll bear with me, and hopefully it'll turn out great. Okay, the first thing we're going to talk about before we get to the designing part is the different types of paper that you can use. So, of course, there's the designer paper, which is really beautiful, but the patterns are limited. This is a sample of a paper pad. You get 24 papers, and they're on each side. So you get to choose which side you want. That's not nearly enough to do an album. You'd probably need a couple of those. Plus, they're 12 by 12, so the patterns can be quite large if you're making a smaller album. So I do use them. I love them. I think they're beautiful. But I use them in conjunction with paper that I design myself. And I match it to their colors so that it all will blend together. The other type of paper that you can use is digital paper. You can buy it off Etsy. They have beautiful patterns, and they're relatively cheap, but you do have to print it. And so you have to buy the paper and you have to get the ink. The other type of paper that you can use is the digital paper free packs off Pinterest. They have a lot of digital designs which they offer for free. You have to print it yourself, and the colors are fixed. And the same with the digital paper that you buy. The problem is that you'll have, out of 12 sheets of paper, you'll have maybe 6 pattern papers, and the rest are all standard stars, stripes, whatever, in the colors that match. But it's all very limiting. Then the other thing that you can do is you can design your own paper. With that, anything is possible, because a lot of the papers that we buy, or like I did an Elvis Presley album, there's just no paper, so if you want it, you have to design it. The same with a girl, she put an ad, she was looking for nurse ideas. There's no nurse paper out there, or very limited. The other thing is, I don't know, if you guys have seen these albums, and they're beautiful, and they're from 2 or 3 years old, and they just don't make that paper anymore. So, you're sort of out of luck. If you design your own, you get to do what you want. And it's original, and it is different. Now, designing your own paper, yes, you do have to print it, and there is a few ways to do it, but since HP started a program called Instant Ink, it is the most amazing thing. You have to have a certain kind of printer, which I paid $62 for. I threw away my printer because every time I went to use it, the ink was dried up, and I bought one that would do the instant ink, which wasn't expensive. And then Instant Ink works like this. For $3.99, you get 50 copies a month. They make sure that you always have the ink. It's hooked up to them online so they can see when you're running out, and they mail it to you. And they are extremely good about it. For $5.99, you get 100 copies. And for $10.99, you get 300 copies a month, which is more than enough to make as many albums as you'd like. And you get to choose what you want, the colors you want. And there's lots of pluses in designing your own paper, because if you work with the printed paper, a lot of the accessorized paper, stars, stripes, can be changed. The colors can be changed to match your paper. So, it's impossible to try and match up some of the colors, and this is just such a much easier way. I'm not going to show you how to work with software today, but I do use software, and I will do it. I'm going to set it up on my computer so that I can actually videotape me using the different software that I use. One is a free software. It's called the Silhouette Cameo software, and it's actually designed for the cutting machine, which I do own. But you can also use it to design in, and it is a wonderful program, and it is totally free. I just wanted to run through this album with you just to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this album has 6 pages, and on each page you have 1, 2, 3, three different designs on this page alone, okay? But some of them have like 4 and 5 different designs on them. So, you know, like this has quite a few designs, different designs on it. And I mean, the thing is, it's just impossible to get it all to match unless you're making it yourself. And the thing is, not only that, when I did this album, one of the reasons I started to do my own paper was because I couldn't find any baby paper that I really, really liked. And then I couldn't, even if I did buy paper pads, there would be just too many of them. I mean, unless you want to have the same paper on every second page or every third page, you know, or a very small album, it's just not possible. Originally, I started a mini album using the Graphics 45 Diary of a Lady, and I spent $120, and it still wasn't enough to define. The album's still sitting in a box because I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it, right? But as you can see, the other thing is, if you notice, a lot of people are taking these white sheets and sticking them on the pages. So instead of having an empty page where people can put any size photo they want or where they want, they're doing this, which to me, I really don't like, because it limits people to doing what they want when they get the album. I mean, if you want one large picture in there, or you want 4 little pictures, that's your option, right? If you stick down mats, they can't do that. They have to sort of, oh, well, that page can hold 1 photo. That's not what I would prefer if I was receiving it. And even making it, I think it looks so much nicer with pattern paper everywhere. And I think part of the reason they do it is because they run out of pattern paper that matches, you know. And if you're making your own, you don't have that problem. You can make it unlimited. And if you run out of a color, well, if you want more patterns, you just change the color of your paper. So you can have the same striped paper and use it over again on another page with 2 or 3 other different colors. I mean, it makes it really interesting and much more fun to do. And with Instant Ink, it's fairly cheap. An album will cost me about $30 to make, and that includes all the paper and the glue, which is, if you're buying one of these paper pads, that's $30 right there. I walked into the scrapbook store the other day, and they had the most gorgeous paper, and they had a course on one of the mini albums. Well, it was $60 for the course, and the paper, you had to have 2 big paper pads and a small one, and you know, that was only the pattern paper, and that was like $100 and some odd for the paper. I mean, you know, how many can you afford to make? And I love making them. So I would be really heartbroken if that was the case, because I wouldn't be able to afford to make very many, you know. So anyways, this is my chat to you about paper today. And I'm going to put the link for the Instant Ink on the bottom of this video. And I also use a paper to print on called Pen and Gear paper. It comes from the States. It's 100-pound cardstock, and it is $6 US for 150 sheets. And the thing is, 100-pound cardstock sounds heavy, but it's not as heavy as, say, the Michaels 100-pound cardstock. And it really is good because we make our pages, a lot of us, at a 65-pound cardstock, which is probably too light. So if you're adding your pattern paper at 100 pounds, it really gives it some body. I mean, basically, this is what I want to tell you about paper. Tomorrow, or maybe not tomorrow, but very soon, I will do a video showing you my computer screen and how I work the paper, how I designed it. The other thing that I wanted to tell you, I am using a program. I told you about Silhouette Cameo software, but I'm also using another software called Corel Paint Shop Pro. But there is many free programs on the internet that do the same thing. The truth is, I just don't want to spend the time to learn another program when I know how to use the one I have. It's not that expensive to buy. It was under $100. And then you just keep it forever. It's yours. But there is some free ones if you don't want to spend the money. But if you're going to make your own paper, I really suggest that you use the Instant Ink system because you're not going to get it cheaper. If you go to Staples, you have to use their paper. So basically, that's about all I have to say today. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you soon with the actual designing of the paper. Bye for now.